in this week's episode of NDVision.
But yeah, it's a much more raw and stunning piece. And the first listen, I kid you not, the first listen, the whole film was storyboarded in my brain. And I just wrote it down. Plus, these people aren't celebrities to me. They're
Kyle Petty used to be my hero, by the way.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. His mellow yellow car.
Oh, yes. The mellow. I have an in for you. We give him a call right now if you want.
So this whole film is actually edited in reverse order.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that ending,
right,
then you don't have as powerful as a film as it is right now.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to this episode of NDVision. I am joined by choreographer extraordinaire Kate Martelle. I said choreography the first time. This is the second take. But Kate, tell me about yourself. What got you into wanting to do dance and inspire kids?
So when I was little, my mom would watch musicals and like A Chorus Line and some really cheesy 80s dance films.
Oh, Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing.
That wasn't cheesy, though.
That wasn't cheesy. Like Look Up, Fast Forward. Oh, great cheesy 80s dance movie. Fantastic. Fantastic. And Electric Boogaloo 2. That's a great hip-hop 80s movie. Anyway, so she'd watch these awesome movie musicals and dance movies, and I would watch them and just try to like be like them. I would recreate them and do it with the movie.
Yeah. And
I just always knew like this is what I wanted to do. And so not a lot of opportunity growing up here. So I just got into theater in high school, but in middle school I got into marching band, and we had Winter Guard, which is the color guard portion of the marching band, in a gym with street music. And we were highly competitive, top in the state.
Does Winter Guard play like during basketball games, or is that what it...
No, I mean, our season ran the same. So marching band went from spring through fall. Yep. So we did parades in the spring and summer, and then competed in the fall, with state championships being in October.
And this is in Wellsville? In
Wellsville, okay. Yep. And then Winter Guard would pick up in like 2 weeks, if that, after marching band. And then that season ran through April. Okay. So, and then we were right back into parade band. And then the musical was also in early spring, so January to like April. So I always had Winter Guard and musical rehearsals on the same day at the same time. Oh, goodness. So yeah, it was fun though, because it was up in the upper gym, which is right behind the theater in Wellsville High School. And so we would have somebody watching our book while we were in Winter Guard. There's like 5 of us that would do both. And so they'd watch our book while we were at Winter Guard, because it has the backstage stairs. And so they would just come and say, hey, your scene's next. And we'd run up the backstage stairs, go on for our scene, do the scene, come back to Winter Guard. So that's how I work. I thrive on being constantly busy. I don't know, grew up that way.
I think that's how most creators work.
Like we just can't stop. I feel like if we stop, something bad's going to happen. Our brain can't stop.
It's true.
Yeah, like the world will end.
We can't figure out a microphone.
So I got into the musical theater, and kind of picked up a lot of dance associated with color guard and marching band. And
what did you do when you were in Winter Guard and color guard?
Winter Guard and color?
Flag
I did it all. I was flag, rifle, and saber.
Okay.
So
what's a saber?
Saber is a saber. It's a sword, but it's wrapped in plastic. Yeah, but it's an actual sword. Yeah, it's not. It's a thicker sword, so it doesn't have the blade that'll cut you.
Right.
But it's a thick metal with a thin plastic wrapping over it, and you would toss it really high in the air and catch it. And if you caught it wrong, and you had to catch it.
Was it still pokey?
It had an end, but it wasn't like gonna hurt you. And it usually had.
So like if it came straight down.
Oh yeah, it would stick into, if the ground was soft, it would stick into the ground. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That seems safe to give children.
And we threw it really high while dancing underneath it, and then catching it, and you can only catch it with a pinch. Like you pinch it, but because if you catch it like that, it's not right. You have to pinch it. But if you caught it like here, your hand would go numb because it hit your nerve, and your hand would go numb. You just got to keep going, dead hand. So yeah, I did it all. Rifle was my favorite. Rifle was a giant chunk of wood. Yeah, which hurt even worse, but I loved it.
It's more blunt.
Yes. Got hit in the head a couple times. I got hit in the ear once. Lost hearing for like a day. It was fine. Yeah, my ear went numb. I couldn't hear out of it for like a day. It was fine.
Who were some of your before you got into dance? Who were some of your mentors in color guard?
Phil Cole.
Okay.
And his daughter, Christina Cole, who's the same age as me, but she was already, she came out of the womb spinning, I swear.
Prodigy.
Oh, yes. She was.
Oh, does color guard have like the string things that like on the end of a wand where you like go and you spin it and okay. I don't know what that's called. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. But, yeah, not ours. Some do. The batons. Yeah, we didn't do baton. Yeah, Christina was amazing. Learned a lot from her. And Phil, who's still a very, very close friend of mine, took me forever to call him Phil. It's always Mr. Cole. But then we started working together, and he's like, "It's Phil," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's Mr. Cole."
I still get yelled at by my teachers.
It's
in
weird,
high school.
right?
Yeah.
Do you have to switch into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was amazing, and right off the bat, I was in 8th grade and put in the rifle line, which never happened. There was a hierarchy then. And so I was like, really? I don't know what I'm doing. But thank you for believing in me. And he did. He believed in me all the time. And he pushed me hard to where I no longer, I am not the kid, was never the kid, and not the adult to be like, I can't do this. I will try everything before I say no, because you never wanted to disappoint him. It wasn't that he was hard on you. It was that you just respected him so much.
Right.
You never wanted to upset him or make him change something. And his mind is brilliant. The shows, he wrote all the shows. So all the movement that you see the marching bands do, he did that as well as the color guard choreography.
And this was before drones. So he had to like
Yes.
stand up on the bleachers.
Yes. And it was pen and paper or pencil and paper. It was not even like now they have computers to do it. He didn't have a computer. He had paper. He did all 15-minute shows with 4 songs with tons of like 30 sets or more, which is like each movement is a set.
Okay.
He'd do it with paper. This is the 90s.
Yeah, I saw behind the scenes on like TikTok, I think it was, where whatever the college is where the dude runs out and he like dips his head
Ohio.
back. Yeah, he dips
Yeah.
his head back. Like they did a
Does
drone shot on
the
how like
cakewalk, yeah.
he just looks at the drone footage and guides
he's
people.
good.
Yeah.
That run he does, it's called the cakewalk.
Oh.
Yeah, he's really good. So you just never wanted him to look at you and be like, all right, I'm going to fix that. And you never wanted to be that person.
Right.
I didn't anyway want to be that person. And so he would literally have me run from the 45 or like the 30 to the opposite 30, like in 8 counts. Like, Katie, can you get from here to here in 8 counts? I'd be like,
So what's an 8 count like? 1, 2, 3.
yeah,
4,
an 8 count of
5,
music.
6,
Yeah, it depends on how fast the
7,
song was. Yeah. So, and like jazz run, like you can't just run. Like you got to dance run. Like it's called a jazz run. And so I'd be like, I don't know. Give me a minute. Let me figure it out. I'll get there somehow.
And this is with your wooden sword or
While
your
doing
saber?
choreography.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just like, stop what you're doing and run. I now also have to do choreography with whatever my prop is. And whether
Choreography leads into dance too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's choreography for winter guard, choreography for color guard. So it's just the making of movement is choreography. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm having to do that while trying to get here to here in 8 counts, 10 counts, and so I would try everything, and he'd be like, "No, I don't think you can do it. It's okay. I'll change it." I'm like, "No, I will do it. Just give me a minute." and I would always do it. But because of that was such good. It wasn't. He was never hard on us in a negative way.
Yeah.
He always had expectations of us, and always in a really good way. And it taught me so much not to give up on something so quickly, and that I can problem solve this. Give me a minute, and I will get there. If I physically can't after 20 tries, then we'll change it. But I will get there. And most of the time, I got there. So
I think a lot of teachers, whether it's in the arts or in anything, are kind of afraid to push kids nowadays.
yeah, I think so too.
We had to actually like tell one of our kids' teachers like, no, send them to the principal's office if they're bad.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Phil and I have had that conversation because we've worked at Wellsville for the last couple of years with the marching band. And we've had that conversation of like, this is totally different. Like even how we talk about training and things we used to say, they weren't negative, but you can't say them now. You know what I mean? So it's just the expectations are completely different and it's a whole other world. So we have that conversation often but it also made us who we are. Like everything he taught me, I still use today, and it taught me to be who I am.
Yeah, you hear about like the old school teachers when like Wellsville or SIO or anybody like Rigby and SIO or something, whenever they'd be winning, you always hear the students talk about how much of a dick they were, but they were winning.
Yeah.
Like,
But we won a lot, and our instructors were amazing.
Yeah.
Like Mr. Haldeman was outstanding. They taught us the how to win without relying on winning, and how to be. So Mr. Cole would always say, color guard is a perfect sport. It's about being perfect, and you have to be perfect, while also ingraining in us that perfect is something that you can never achieve.
Yeah.
But you can get as close to it as you can, and you can work hard for it, as long as you know, because I am also a perfectionist, so that can go in a bad direction for me. But I never felt that way in color guard and winter guard. I never beat myself up. I was always like, okay, I'm going to get as close as I can to perfection. And because it's a team sport, the color guard all has to be together in perfect timing. So he would always say, this sport is about perfection.
Yeah.
But without being like, if you're not perfect, you suck. Never came out of their mouth. And it was never, oh, you won or you lost, or you only got second or you only got third in this competition. I can't believe, because there are instructors that are that way. Our whole team of drumline, the band and the color guard, our whole team of instructors were so loving but pushed you in a good, healthy way. And they were like, okay, last week your score was this, and this week your score was this. We've gone up this way. And they went over all the judges' tapes with us. They went over the judges' comments, because they were cassette tapes back then, the judges' tapes. And so we'd listen to them on the bus on the way home, because we had like the cassette players.
Yeah.
And they'd give us the judges' tapes, because there was three or four color guard judges, timing judges, marching band judges, visual overall. Like, there was tons of judges. So we all had these tapes that we'd listen to on the bus ride home.
Cassettes were like one of the shortest lived,
Weren't they?
like, things for music, and like in video, it's either beta or laser disc.
Yeah.
Not DVD.
Right,
It's like
right.
laser disc or
Right,
beta.
exactly. Yeah, cassettes did not live long, even though it felt like they did.
Yeah.
They did not live long. But yeah, they would share all that with us. They'd give us the judges' sheets. They never held it back. They were very open with everything, and we knew our scores. Week to week, we knew our scores. And we were always out to beat our last best. And it wasn't like, oh, we're going to go beat this school this week. We're going to win, or we were never that way. We're like, okay, we have a good show. As long as we keep on path and we do our best, we're going to up our score.
Right.
And we were always within top 3 of the state. So my senior year was devastating, but at the same time, we never felt the devastation.
Yeah.
Because we had the best show in the state, and the judges said that you have the best show in the state. We did the Planets by Holtz, which is really, really difficult music, and it was the color guard show was really difficult, except for mine. I was the only senior. And so I circled the 50. I went from the 45 to the 50 to the other 45 to the 50. And I had dance solo, so I went back around. That was the one time I ran. And then at the end of the show, I ran all the way to the back of the field in about 16 counts.
So did you not get into dance until college then? Like truly dance?
I never took my first dance class until college. My first official dance class. I mean, I took dance,
right,
but not like in a studio dance class with a dance teacher. I learned from color guard choreographers. I learned from theater choreographers. In the hallway during the musical, one of the choreographers would teach me tap and things like that. It just wasn't the program around for me that fit my schedule or anything. And at that point, I wasn't thinking I'm going to be a dancer. I was thinking I'm going to be in theater. I'm going to do musical theater. I'm going to go on Broadway and all this stuff. But I was also heavily focused on marching band and winter guard. So it was Mark Dibble then was my next mentor. He was our theater director in Wellsville for 3 out of the 4 of my shows. And he was so hard. He was hard and could be negative at times. There are less of us who loved him than there was of the other side. But I'm one that loved him. And he did a lot of good for me, helped me out a lot. He actually is the one that pushed me to go to Fredonia. I actually was supposed to go to St. Bonaventure. I got into St. Bonaventure because the whole theater team came from Olean, and the choreographers came from St. Bonaventure. And so I already knew them, had a relationship with them. They were teaching me in the hallway. I loved them. Cool, I'm going to go to St. Bonaventure. And
Fred's more of an artistic school, though.
Fred is the better school. Yeah, for the arts.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It's the best theater school this side of New York City. And but I was like Bonaventure. I don't know why. I had just my sights on Bonaventure. And
Were you Catholic?
I was at the time. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now I'm Presbyterian.
Learn something new every day.
I know. But I mean, we were like Christmas once in a while Catholics. We didn't really.
Oh.
Outing me on the podcast. But yeah, so I was, that was the goal of Bonaventure. And then we were having all sorts of issues with Bonaventure, paperwork issues. And then all of a sudden, I mean, my dad was so frustrated with Bonaventure. I remember this so well. He had repeat paperwork all the time. And we were like 2 or 3 weeks before move-in date, still having issues with financial aid paperwork.
Oh, goodness.
And then I got a call from Mr. Dibble, and he said, hey, they have fired the entire theater staff. Don't go to Bonaventure. I'm like,
wow.
what do you mean don't go to Bonaventure? I'm moving in 3 weeks. And he's like, don't go to Bonaventure. I think they're trying to eliminate the program.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if they, I didn't follow what actually happened after that. I was just a panic. I'm in a
What
panic
year was
state.
this?
This was, I graduated in 1999. So it was, the fall of 99.
You were alive with Y2K.
I made it through Y2K.
Same.
I'm old.
Same.
So he goes, you need to go to Fredonia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even think I applied to Fredonia. And I had, but I had applied to a bunch of schools. But my goal was always Bonaventure. So I called up Fredonia, and they said, yep, you were accepted, but we're tripled in freshmen, so we have no room for you.
Oh.
Because again, everyone's moving in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So they said, give us until January, because a bunch of kids always drop out or transfer, and we'll get you in. And so I ended up going to JCC for my first semester in Olean.
Okay.
And
But that's fine though. I mean, because the
No,
first
yeah.
times you have to get away out of
It
like
worked.
the math and the
yes,
all that
exactly. It worked perfectly for me because I got most of my core curriculum out of the way. Saves the money.
Yep.
Stayed with mom and dad. And it was great because Phil Cole's daughter, Christina, who I was really close with, she was also going to JCC while waiting to go to her school as well. Oh, no. And so we had a lot of the same classes, went to lunch together every day. It was really awesome. And so I got a lot of the core curriculum out of the way and transferred in. But because JCC doesn't have a theater program, I was an English student, which my English professor grandmother loved. And she was not pleased when I changed my major. But that was the plan: go to Fredonia, change the major back to theater, and do theater. So I go to Fredonia in January, and I had to transfer in as an English student. And I signed up for my first official dance class with Gailey Somerton, who would then change my life. And so I was in Jazz 1. And I was taking theater classes, but I also had a biology course. I had to take human biology for another core curriculum class. And grew up in the medical world. My parents were both EMTs, grew up down at the ambulance bay. I'd play with the CPR mannequins.
I thought you were going to say I play with the body.
There's no bodies there. The bodies don't go there. No, all the mannequins.
Yeah.
So I tubed a mannequin when I was 9 years old because I was playing with it,
Yeah.
and I successful tube. The only thing we couldn't play with, my brother and my sister were down there too. The only thing we couldn't play with was
You have a brother?
I have a brother and an older sister. I'm the youngest.
I knew you had a sister. I didn't know you had a brother.
Yeah. His name's Chris. Hi, Chris. Yeah, he lives in Westville. He's still with the ambulance corps. And so we would play with I read medical books when I was bored because that's all that was down there. It's not like a kid-friendly environment.
Yeah.
And so I grew up reading EMT books, playing with these mannequins and doing all that. And I think that was actually my first foray into acting before I even got into theater was down at the ambulance corps because I would be the victim for the trainings. So they would have these car crash trainings and they would put us in this wrecked car. And my brother and my sister and I would be in the back seat and people would have to learn how to extricate the victims.
Yeah.
And so I would be in the back seat
They
of the
saw
car.
the jaws of death out.
Yeah, no, we weren't near any of that.
Oh,
That's
okay.
dangerous. Yeah, no, the children weren't near that. But children, the children. But they'd have to do the vital assessment and get you out of the car. We were put on backboards and removed from cars.
Okay.
And all we really had to do was sit there. But Katie's extra. I know. I got that actually during the EMT exam. So the final exam for EMTs, they have to assess people. And so we would be the victims.
Yeah.
And I'd be laying on the floor and they'd have to do the vital assessment. And I learned how to shallow my breathing doing this. I'd been doing this for a long time at this point. And so I'm laying on the floor and I'm breathing, but very shallow. And I can just see the color go from their face because this is their exam. And I was young enough to not realize that was inappropriate and probably not fun. I am my father's daughter. We are jokesters.
Yeah.
And not the moment though. And their color would just go from their face, and they'd lean down to me and they go, "Are you breathing?" And I'd go, "Yeah." And they'd go, because they couldn't find my breath sounds.
Yeah.
It was really funny. So that was the first entrance into acting, was being a victim for the ambulance bay. But yeah, so we used to do that. And so I was just chatting one day with my human biology professor and told him about that. And he was like, "You tubed a mannequin when you were 9? I'm like, "Yeah, I was bored." And he was like, "You need to be a doctor." And I'm like, "Well, I thought about that when I was little, when you ask a kid what they want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be a doctor." And he's like, "No, you need to be a doctor." And I'm like, I don't know about that.
I wanted to be a snowplow man.
Did you?
Truck driver. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
awesome.
I don't know why. I still love shoveling
and now
snow.
you plow? Yeah.
No, I do. No, I plow.
Do you? I was like, do you have a little ATV and you like plow Andover?
No, my parents do, but I do. I'll go over and I'll help my neighbors shovel out, and I'll make trails in the snow for the kids and for myself. And I'll do igloos. I don't know.
I practice medicine from time to time. No, I really don't. I am certified, but I don't do that. But so yeah, he was like, "I'm going to treat you like a medical student.
Yeah.
You're going to go into pre-med." And I'm like, "I don't think I am, but okay." And he did. He treated me like a pre-med student all semester. Every time we had an exam, I had to go meet with him and go over all the questions I got wrong until I got them right.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, the same semester, Gailey, in my jazz class, she's like, "You need to be a dancer."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Gailey, I'm not a dancer." In my brain, a dancer started at 2. And she's like, "No, you need to go into the dance track from the theater department."
These are two very separate paths.
Very separate paths that I'm being
One is
fought
a
over.
lifetime of pain and stress and anxiety. Respect to all the medical field
Yes.
people. And then the other is a time of pain and suffering and
Stress. In a whole other manner, yes.
But
on
at
the
least
body.
you're not dealing with people's lives.
Exactly.
So there's
exactly.
a different kind
There's
of
no
stress.
lives hanging in the balance
Right.
other than mine. Yeah. And so I was a very sick child, actually, growing up. I was always in the hospital, always in the ER. And back then, when I had asthma and I would always have pneumonia and bronchitis, and I was always in the hospital. And because back then, if you went to the ER for an asthma attack, you're admitted for a week.
Oh,
this is
geez.
the 80s, and no parents were allowed to stay. So I was, after visiting hours were over, I was alone. And so I was around medicine a lot. And so he was pushing me hard. Gailey's pushing me hard to go on the dance track in the theater department. And so what the deciding factor was Patch Adams. So Patch,
Robin. He was our generation's
oh my gosh, yeah.
saint.
Yes, absolutely. But the real Patch Adams came to Fredonia to give a talk. Yeah, and again, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Robin Williams is coming to Fredonia." We're like, "No, there's a real dude named Patch Adams coming to Fredonia."
Oh yeah, so that came out in '98. So he was still alive when the movie came out.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think Patch Adams is still alive now. I don't think he's passed.
Robin is.
Robin has, sadly.
R.I.P.
I know, sad. So my biology professor required me to go. I think I was the only person on campus required to go see Patch Adams. And he's like, "This is going to make you be a doctor." Mm-hmm. And Patch Adams is one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met in my life. Very influential, very inspiring person. His story is incredible.
Was his name Patch Adams?
Yeah, his name's Patch Adams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And his hospital in, I think, Virginia is Gesundheit.
Sorry, we're just blowing people's eardrums out just now.
And it's free. He doesn't charge anyone. That's like the basis.
Well,
of
he
his-
can't though, because then it would be medical. Wasn't that part of the movie that
Oh, I don't remember.
he's not practicing actual
medicine.
I mean, he is.
He is. He's a real doctor.
But he's not. But his practice isn't like.
Yeah, there's a loophole around what he's doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he doesn't have to charge because he doesn't believe in the health insurance industry. But he was a clown first.
Yeah.
He was a trained clown, and he was clowning a lot during that and making us all laugh and cry. The story in the movie of him and the woman, the love story, that was actually his best friend, and he was a guy. But Hollywood made it the love story, and he's like, but what actually happened to her happened to him.
Oh, geez.
And and he's like, he'd love it that Hollywood made him a girl. He'd just think it was so funny. And so he's a really inspiring man, and he inspired me in the complete opposite direction.
Oh.
I was like, you know what? I was such a sick kid, and I'm still so scared of needles from everything I went through. And I was like, why would I want to make kids cry when I can make kids laugh?
Yeah.
And so instantly before I left that theater, I knew what I was going to do. And he was very sad and not happy with me, but Gailey was fantastically happy with me.
Isn't it funny how inspiration comes from the most unlikely sources sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's wild.
Absolutely. It is completely wild. And that was a really crucial moment that I'll never forget. And I was just like, I was that kid. And I could be that doctor to make them happy, but you're not, when they're sick and you're having to do things to them, like give them needles and blood draws and stuff, you're not going to make them happy no matter how much you make them laugh. So I want to inspire kids and make kids happy and bring them joy. And the arts is how I'm going to do that. So I went into the dance track.
So you danced through college, got your degree.
Yep.
I do apologize. I'm going to move us forward because I want to talk about this latest project.
You're good.
But you moved back to Wellsville.
I did for a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to North Carolina and taught down at Victory Junction.
Okay.
So I was hired as a theater counselor for their first year open.
All right.
It's a NASCAR themed camp for kids with life-threatening illnesses. This is where I met Kyle Petty.
Okay.
Him and his family owned the camp, and I grew up in racing as well. So I honestly got the job by accident. I was right out of college. I was home, no idea what you're going to do with a theater degree in Wellsville, and trying to process that, figure that out with
join the Players Club.
With my dad going, that's not paid. And so my dad would be like, so what you're gonna do, Kate? And I'm like, I don't know. And so my father had been diagnosed with cancer at this point. And
what year was this?
So this was I graduated in 2003. This was 2004.
Okay.
I was teaching at the Wellsville Community Center. I taught dance there for my first year out of college. And so then in 2004, I applied for this job. My dad had been diagnosed in 2001.
Okay.
He was given 2 months to 2 years to live. So at this point, we're on borrowed time, you know. And a lot of the time when somebody that close to you is dealing with cancer, you feel very helpless. And so I didn't know what to do, how to help my dad other than, just support him. But I felt the need to do something. And I knew the Petty family was opening this camp for kids with life-threatening illnesses. And so I got on the website to see how I could donate or do something. Can I do an event for you? Like, what can I do? And it had job openings, theater counselor. And I was like, oh, I have never been to camp a day in my life.
Yeah.
I am not going to get this job, but it would be a really good interview experience right out of college. So I applied, got the phone interview, and got the job on the first phone interview. I literally did not expect this job at all.
Wow.
And so I'm on the phone for like almost 2 hours. I get off the phone, my parents go, so how'd it go? And what'd you think of the experience? And I said, I'm moving to North Carolina in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like, I don't know.
Talk about timing.
I know. It was
theater people weren't looking into NASCAR. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I was a NASCAR person. They weren't looking for NASCAR people. They wanted because drivers were going to be on camp every day, and they didn't want people fawning over the drivers. They wanted to focus on the kids. And so they made it very clear to me that my resume and my education far outweighed the fact that I grew up in NASCAR. And I'm like, plus these people aren't celebrities to me. They're
Kyle Petty used to be my hero, by the way.
Did he?
Mm-hmm. His mellow yellow car.
Oh, yes. The mellow. I have an in for you. We give him a call right now if you want. We still stay in touch. He came and saw my dancers this summer at Watkins Glen. I was able to work a little magic, and he came over and met my dancers.
You need to invite him to the premiere.
Oh, I should.
You should.
Yeah, it's right up his alley. I definitely would. So he actually loved the fact that I was in racing. I was the only one out of like 100 counselors that had racing experience, and so he could talk racing with me.
Yeah.
And a funny quick story, as we were on camp, there were cars everywhere because it's a NASCAR themed camp, so there's race cars everywhere, and a ton of mostly Duke football players. Okay. And they had never seen a race car in their life.
Oh, this is Carolina, right?
North Carolina, yeah. And we're in the
sports.
We're in the midst of NASCAR country, and football, Duke football. So we're having to move. Some of the cars are mounted, some of the cars are movable. And so there was one from Watkins Glen that was actually raced by him in Watkins Glen. And he'd look at me and he'd go, Katie, we gotta go move your car. And I'm like, I didn't drive here. My brother drove me here and dropped me off. And so he'd be like, no, the car from Watkins Glen. And he just called it my car. And I'm like, okay, cool, we're moving it. So him and I walk over, there's a group of guy counselors there, and they cannot figure out how to get in the car. Kyle is laughing so hard, and we waited like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. They just cannot figure out how to get in the window of the car. They can't fit in the window. And so Kyle goes, do you want to do it or do you want me to do it? And I went, oh no, I want to do it. And so I walk over there and I go, excuse me, and I pop the steering wheel off and pull it out and I said, get in the car. And they're like, what? And they get in the car and I put the steering wheel back on and Kyle is crying. He's laughing so hard. And I was like, y'all just drive the car, okay?
Yeah.
I said, if you want to know how to tear it apart, I could tell you that too, because my dad taught all of that in NASCAR. He was the educator on how to cut the cars with jaws of life and all of that. Wow. So I know how to do all of that. I know such random things. My brain is full. So we did that. And then, funny thing, I'm terrified of flying mostly because of Victory Junction. Mm-hmm. So my brother drove me there. I come home. I have to fly home. Never flown a day in my life. Right. And this is the furthest I've been away from my family ever. And the day I was leaving camp, Hurricane Charlie was coming into North Carolina.
Damn it, Charlie.
Dang it. So camp was flooding and they're driving me to the airport. And I'm like, is this safe? Like, what is happening? Why am I going to the airport if camp is flooding? Yeah. And my flight's still on. Never been to an airport in my life. And so I get there. My family's all up here celebrating my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary. My dad calls me and he goes, I just want to apologize right now. And I go, why? What? He booked the flight because I was too busy. And we didn't have a lot of time to be on the computer because it was all about the kids. And he's like, I thought it would be funny, but now it's not. And I'm like, what? What's not funny? What did you do? Yeah. He put me on a puddle jumper. Oh. An 11 seat plane for my first flight. And he's like, had it been a normal day, it would have been hilarious. Yeah. But now that there's a hurricane hitting and they're actually going to fly, all I had in my head was the Buddy Holly story. Yeah. Is this the same plane? And I'm like, we're flying, we're really flying. They're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to die like Buddy Holly. And I was sobbing because my anxiety was so high and I was really sad to leave camp. There was a lot of emotions. And so I got pulled aside and like swabbed my shoes and everything for bombs. I think they were like, this woman's so distraught, something's wrong. Because this is
full cavity. You're a full cavity search.
This is Greensboro, North Carolina. It's not even like a major hub, you know. And so I literally was pulled away from everyone else. I'm like, is this normal? What is happening? They made me sit down. They took my shoes, and I'm like, what is happening? And then I get on this plane, and I'm still sobbing. And the plane was not full, so there's maybe like 6 people on this plane and the crew. And they go, the one woman goes, are you okay? And I said, no. And they're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I have never flown before. And they go, and the whole plane went, and this is your first flight? And I was like, yeah. And they go, oh, girl. And they're like all rubbing my back.
It's a good first flight because it can't get much worse than that.
No, but have you ever been through an airport with a bag full of metal post 9/11?
No.
I have. Yeah, I have.
I have flown through a hurricane though.
Did you?
Surprisingly, yeah. The one
I flew
last
out
year,
of it. That's why we flew. We flew the other direction.
Directly into it.
No.
Last year we went down to
Pass.
Where did we go? What are some Florida things? What's above Miami?
Everything.
Fort. No, I feel like it's a fort. Anyways, yeah. So during that hurricane, we flew down. It was going through Tampa as we were going down. We were like right around, so we went like a little bit this way.
No, I've been on a cruise ship, right close to one. Wouldn't do that again either. But no.
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
That's where we flew.
So I was working at 171 Cedar Arts Center, which is a dance studio in Corning. Okay. So this is the following year. And the whole studio was stopping like selling shoes. They weren't going to sell shoes anymore. They had this closet full of tap shoes. There was like 50 tap shoes. And I said, I'm going to camp next week. I'll buy all the tap shoes. donate them to camp, teach a little tap class while I'm there. Kids will love it.
Yeah.
And because I set up the theater program and the costume closet and all that, I'm like, I bought all 50 pairs of tap shoes. So I'm flying down. And so I have a big suitcase for my clothes. I have another large suitcase just full of metal post 9/11.
Yeah.
And I knew it going in. I'm like, here we go, folks. Katie's going to get swabbed again for bombs. And so they take my bags, they put them through the x-ray machine, and the guy looks at the monitor, and he looks at me, and he looks at the monitor, and he looks at me, and I just go, yep. And he goes, step aside, please. I said, I figured. And I had to answer all these questions. I'm like, I'm just taking them down to kids at Victory Junction. They're tap shoes.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's no weapons in there. It's just a box full of metal. So that was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I came home from Victory Junction to help my parents raise Ryan, my nephew who has autism.
Yep.
Because I was actually offered from Kyle himself a job permanently in North Carolina. But family first has always been my thing. I actually gave up also an opportunity for professional dance in New York because at this point we're on borrowed time with my dad. My dad's my best friend. I'm not going to spend all that time away from him. Family has always been more important to me. So I came home and I just kind of taught at random studios around New York State, choreographed for studios, choreographed for Winter Gardens. I did a lot of Hinsdale stuff here and there. I'd go over and work with Phil on different parts of things. And and
So you worked for a bunch of studios, and then I met you at the last studio that you worked for because you had me come in and do a video.
Yep, a marketing video,
which went really well.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then, I think it was the next year, you were like, "Hey," so I've decided to start my own studio, and then we did kind of like the opening in the gardens.
The announcement in the garden,
in the gardens.
Yeah, we talked about that this weekend. That whenever I text you,
yeah,
I have something. I have something in my brain.
Yeah. I'm just like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah, in Bradley's Garden. We got special permission to do it at Bradley's Garden.
Rooftops.
I sent Nick a text almost 2 years ago. It was a while ago.
For this
film. Yeah.
Oh, no, it was the beginning of this year.
Yeah. And I said, so how do you feel about rooftops?
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I went, we need to have a meeting.
Yeah. I felt like I was going into the principal's office because your studio, Martelle Dance Academy, is on Main Street right next to Beef House. And I went in there and you're just sitting on the little stool and there was one other little chair. No, there wasn't a chair. It was a speaker. I think I sat on the speaker, or you were sitting on the speaker. Anyways,
I don't know.
But this actually, let's rewind a little bit, just real quick, just for you did Until We Rise 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
And Still We Rise. Yeah.
And Still We Rise. Yep.
Yep. 2 years ago.
And the Giant movie.
Not sponsored by Giant yet.
Giant, what's
also up? Sponsored. Giant, hit me up. Your sign is in every single shot.
Yeah.
Plus the guy with the cell phone.
Oh yeah,
Snuck in there somehow.
But you did, that was your first dance film.
That was my first film. Yep.
That we produced at 5 a.m. And then we had to wait for fog.
It's fun working with Katie.
But that was all through the Facet Green Space.
Yeah, that was Facet Green Space. That was I just was trying. It was a trial film for me.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if I could work in that medium because it's a completely different way of thinking about choreography. With a stage, it's two-dimensional. Like people are viewing it from one perspective only, and you can bring them out in the audience, but it's still one perspective only. Whereas with film, especially when we utilize your drone, it's every single direction possible. How does it look from the air? How does it look from this side? Especially in the garden with the labyrinth.
So cool, when they were just running
except
through.
for the corn.
Yeah. But listen, if you haven't seen that film, it is out.
It is out. It is on YouTube.
And you can go watch it.
It is an award winner.
True.
It won a lot of awards. It was just kind of, again, it was my kind of like tester film. Can I do this? And it did have a good message, an important message at the time coming out of lockdowns and things and hope and a new day rising. But it was short, minute 30. Can I do this? what is the film festival world like? And I submitted it going, a minute 30 film is not going to get anything, but at least I'll learn, because every festival is different. There is a lot of stuff happening in the film festival world. And I did learn a lot. And I did that knowing this was coming.
Yeah.
I already had the thought.
Did you already have this?
Yeah. I already had it in mind. I just didn't know how I was going to do it because I'd never done it. So like, I need to do this, test it, see what I'm going to do. And then, but I already had the concept in mind, just not the rooftop part, just the mental health part. And I said, so this is a good way to learn. And so I submitted to like tons of film festivals, tons of them, just to learn. And then we won the, or we were finalists for Niagara Falls.
Yep.
And once that was the first one that accepted us. And once that happened, it opened up the world of invite-only festivals, which I had no idea about. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these invitations to apply for festivals. And I was like, okay, sure. You want my film? You can have it. And so I learned a lot from that. And it really helped with this project and knowing what I wanted to do and how to get it done, which I'm really glad we did the first one.
Yeah, because I had no idea how to film dance.
I know.
I was like, oh, let's do this. I know how to film.
You do.
I know how to make things
Absolutely.
look pretty.
Yes.
But it's a
the
whole
first
other
edit,
animal.
I was like, so Nick, everything's out of order.
Yeah.
Because you're used to doing the marketing videos.
Yeah.
And which it didn't matter what order it was in. But and you're like, order? And I'm like, yeah. It goes with the song.
Yep. And there was like mistakes that not me, the dancers.
Yeah, the
made.
dancers. There were some takes that should not be used.
I was like, I don't know. It looks good to me.
I ruined some takes because of the drone, and I can't not hide and not see it because I need to see the take. You know, because again, you don't know what's good and what's bad in a dance take, and so having me hide around the corner in a building and I can't see what's happening was driving me crazy. So I'd peek out and you'd be like, Katie, you're in the shot. Darn it.
The best place to be when filming is behind the videographer or the cinematographer. It's the best place to be because you know you're safe if you're behind them.
You running around that
Yeah.
garden.
I got so much exercise that day.
I was so sad I didn't film that because we were too busy laughing. Like I had the dancers running full bore through this labyrinth, and Nick's like, okay, I got to do individual shots of each one. And I don't even think you got one shot of Andrew because he was so fast.
It's very fast.
You could not keep up through the labyrinth with him. He's got those long legs, and he's like a speed demon.
He definitely danced like a gazelle for sure.
He did.
But it was cool though because I mean the Facet Green Space was new at that point, and then you had just opened up.
Yeah, it was a collaboration
studio.
with them, so it was really it was so that it was also they could use it for marketing, and they have and
So you called me earlier this year, and you're like, "Hey," and you sent me the rooftop message. So we went down, and I strategically talked you out of the rooftops just from liabilities. No, it would have been so cool if we could do that. But I think what came of it actually is better,
way better
than what it would have.
Way better. And this is what happens in the film process, right? Like the original idea is there, but there's many iterations from the original thought. But the theme is still alive and well.
Actually, a lot of things that happened in this film were just purely by chance.
Agreed.
That it just worked out.
Agreed. Yeah, there was.
Having Riley was a big help.
Yeah, Riley was amazing.
She slayed it. So tell me what this film is about.
So this film is about mental health struggles, and because I myself have struggled in the past, I have OCD and depression, and felt very, very alone, which a lot of people do if you're struggling with anything. It doesn't feel like anyone understands you. It doesn't feel like anyone does, especially with OCD. You have like little things like hand washing. I hand wash all the time, and I'm like, nobody else does this in the world. I am a like complete crazy, like nobody gets this. And it was very isolating. I felt very alone for a long time because nobody talks about it. It still has that stigma that nobody feels comfortable talking about it when we have to talk about it so that you don't feel so alone and so isolated. And that's where you get into really dark places and you really start to struggle and feeling like nobody will ever understand you and nobody will ever love you. So that's where I came from with this concept, is that I want to show people that you are not the only one struggling with this. There are many of us that have the same thing. We feel the same way. We do the same things, and just kind of take that stigma away and help comfort people so they realize. So the concept of the film is somebody who's struggling and so isolated into themselves, into what they're feeling, that they don't see the other people that are struggling. At no point in the film does Riley see the other people, except for like at the, well, she's in front of them, so she still doesn't see them technically. But in the end sequence, in her head, they're all there. But throughout Wellsville and our different locations, she's strategically placed, so she never sees the other people who are struggling, because that is the world. We can walk by anybody who might be struggling worse than we are, or has the same issues going on, but we never see it. You can't see it. It doesn't have a physical manifestation. So that was the point of the film.
And when you basically when you gave me the synopsis, I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we'll figure out about the rooftops, but they might not happen. And then we kind of had the idea about, a different location.
Yeah.
Up at my parents' house. But, and then you're like, and also I have a song already picked out.
Yeah. It took a while to get to this.
Can we say what the song is?
Yeah, we can say what the song is.
Go ahead.
It's Normal by The Rex. Thank you, Nick Anderson. It's a brilliant song. I actually thank you, Casey Anderson, because Nick, you are very much thanked as well. But Casey is the one that pointed it out to me.
Right.
So part of that time frame between And Still We Rise and contacting you was molding my thoughts on, like, I knew it wanted to be about mental health and feeling alone, but like, how am I going to convey that in film? How am I going to convey that in dance? What am I going to do? So like working through the ideas. And then it came time to choose a song. And my first film, I commissioned the piece. So I approached a songwriter and he wrote the music for me. And so I own all rights to it. And that was a really fun, cool experience. And so I wanted to work with a local songwriter and do something locally. So I wanted to keep it all local. So I put out there, searching for local songwriters. Contact me if you already have something, or if you want to collaborate on a brand new thing. I want this to be local. I didn't really put the theme or anything out there. And somebody tagged Casey, and Casey messaged me the link to the song. It's the acoustic version of Normal. And
which I think is I like it better.
I like it better too.
I mean, the original's great.
Yeah.
I like the acoustic version is just so much more raw.
I like acoustic versions of anything, I think, better than the regular. But yeah, it's a much more raw and stunning piece. And the first listen, I kid you not, the first listen, the whole film was storyboarded in my brain. And I just wrote it down. I saw every shot. I saw everything. And I was like, okay. And that's how my brain works. Like, I see things in my brain when it has to do with dance. So the first listen, and then I couldn't stop listening to it and seeing it. And that's when I was like, okay, Nick, so, rooftops.
The original idea was fantastic. And I would have been
It's really hard
so
for our
hard
area.
to do.
Yeah.
But
especially since at that point, I was going to require the cast to be over 18.
Yep.
And most of our cast was under 18.
there was a 12-year-old
12-year-old.
who looks not like a 12-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. I'd originally capped it at 16, and then I get a message from this mom, and she's like, hey, I will send you video. I will send you photos. She does not look like she's 12. She's a fantastic dancer. Will you consider her? And I was like, sure. And she sent me the stuff, and I'm like, she's hired.
Right? She did great, too.
She was fantastic.
So you were able to get the song. We won't go too into the nitty-gritty details about that.
We will not.
And when you
took
first...
a little bit, though. It versus working. Again, learning experience.
Yeah.
Commissioned piece like that you are having made yourself versus purchasing an existing piece that's out there on the market. Very different experience.
And it's a bummer when the artist that wrote the song wants to give it to you, and then things just have to work out.
The artist and I were on the same page.
Yeah.
And I was deeply, deeply honored and grateful for what he wanted to do. But the label had other ideas.
Right.
which is the business. I don't fault them whatsoever. I was prepared, and I said that, and I was like, you know what? No, I am prepared for this. Like, I know how the business runs,
Right.
and I got this, yo. And yeah, no, it worked out great. They were lovely to work with. It's a longer process than commissioning a piece. So, I mean, at least commissioning a minute 30 piece. If you commission a longer piece, it's gonna take a while.
Do you remember when you first had me listen to it and you're like, do you know who this is?
Oh yeah.
You were like, you know who this is. I'm like, is this Shawn Mendes? I thought it was. I had never heard this song before.
I know. I was like, so I'm in talks with the label.
Yeah.
And it's somebody you know. And so you were like guessing all these big names.
The first one I guessed, which I
Shawn Mendes.
thought for sure
Yeah.
that it was Shawn
I was
Mendes.
like, how much money do you think I have?
But oh man, but I mean that just shows how good the song is because
Yeah. You were listening to it and thinking it was Shawn Mendes. Yeah. And I was like, no, it's a local songwriter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you said who it was, and then that got me excited.
Yeah. I remember. Do you remember what you said?
No.
You were like, man, we got to do this. There were other words involved. But you're like, man, we got to do this right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You were already feeling the pressure.
Yep.
And we were so many months away from anything.
Well, the first film, we all kind of it was a learning experience for everybody. And it worked out great.
Yeah.
This film, I'm like, oh shit, we really got to make this look good.
Yeah.
And then you got into the planning phases, and I was like, listen, I wasn't too involved with the planning last time.
Right.
Let me in on everything. And I remember like you set up you had the casting, and then you set up a Zoom meeting with the cast.
Oh yeah.
And I had to have like a meeting with New York's Best Experiences. So I'm like, no, but I can't miss this. So I like literally walked out of my meeting and called in. And I'm like, hey, everybody. Hi. How's it going? I'm Nick. I'm going to be the directing. It's great to meet you, and I can't wait to work with you.
Yeah. See you later, Nick.
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was Nick.
Yeah.
We had some of the same cast members.
That's totally a director thing to do, though.
It really was.
Or a production company thing. Just come in and be like, hey.
But we had like Julie from the first film.
Yep.
And we had other people. Riley from the first film. We had other people that I had worked with and you had worked with and different. So there were people that knew you, but the newer ones were like, okay.
and I
because
thought
we can never be serious.
That's true.
And we can never answer the phone in a serious manner, which is hilarious when you call me at like work or at the studio and have people there because I'm like, hello. And everyone's like, what is happening? And that's how you got on the Zoom call. And these people that don't know either of us were like, what did I get into?
And I thought that because you had said I was like, have you found the lead yet? And you're like, yeah, I have. And I'm like, oh, is it Jenna? Because that's who my mind automatically, remember that? That's who my mind automatically went to just from the last one. Yeah. And you're like, no, it's Riley. I'm like, which one's Riley? I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But man, she's
fantastic.
Yeah.
I knew early on when she signed on to the film that I wanted her to be the lead because I know Riley very well. Yep. I've worked with her for the last couple of years. She's an assistant with my Archangels, and I just knew that she would be perfect for the role. But I actually talked to her mom first. And her mom's awesome. Her mom is awesome. This is Riley, by the way. This is Riley. Our lead for the film. So I talked to her mom because she's been through some stuff. Yeah. And she's very young for what she has gone through. And so I said, I'm thinking I want Riley for the lead. Do you think she's going to be okay with this? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to cause, and I said that to my whole cast. I made it very clear that if at any point during filming this is triggering you or you're having an off day and our rehearsal's making it worse, because this is an emotional film. Yep. And I said, then you let me know, we stop immediately and we address what you need first, and then the production comes next, because your mental health means the world to me, because most of the people on this cast have dealt with some sort of mental health issue. Yeah. So that's why they all are so amazing, because they get it. But I was very protective of all of them. Anything, even if it's just a bad day, we stop and you tell me, and we will address and get you what you need, and then we'll move on. So I made that very clear to her as well and to her mom. So I thought her mom said something to her.
Yeah.
And she didn't. So I just like blurted it out because I thought she knew, and it was like shocking. It was so not like, I wasn't like, okay, and the lead is
Right.
like, I was just like, and Riley's our lead, and she was like, oh. I was like, wait, did you not know? I told your mom like 2 weeks ago. So,
That sounds like an Amy thing to do.
and her mom's like, no, I didn't tell her. I'm like, oh,
Surprise, mother bucket.
I would have done that a little bit differently had I known.
Right.
I would have made it a little more special than just like blurting it out.
I think that's kind of cool that you just blurted it out, because then she's like, "Oh,
I know
she's so
her
taken
reaction was really amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this now pretty much all my life, and I've worked with a lot of other different actors, and these aren't classically trained actors and actresses.
They're dancers.
They're dancers. But every single one of them was just like in it. They were ready.
Yep.
And I still don't know proper dance technique, but I do know emotion and I know faces. And every single person was just like there.
They nailed it.
Ready.
They nailed it. I'm so proud of all of them.
And they all got along.
They all got along so
So well.
We're literally a family.
Yeah.
And there was no drama. There was no ego. There was no, well, I've done this and I've done, my studio does this. Because we were all from different studios. You know, we had people from Dunkirk. We had people from Rochester. We had people from Elmira. We had people from Wellsville. So everyone came from different backgrounds and different places. And they all, the first meeting, they all acted like they'd known each other for 20 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were the best of friends. And that was how every single rehearsal went. And
you have Riley. I mean, Riley's dance teachers in this as well.
yeah,
Right?
Riley's dance teacher is in this. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah. Julie, who I danced with in college. Yeah. She was in the both film. Anything that I do, same thing. It's the same thing to Julie that I do with you.
Yeah.
Julie's on board for anything. I could be like, Julie, you want to fly off a building? She'd be like, when?
At this point, I'm just like, okay, let's do it.
I love that y'all do that. You're like, you know what? Whatever Katie's got, we're gonna do.
We
And I
might
appreciate that so
try
much.
to reel you in sometimes.
Katie's brain goes a little wild sometimes. Like, can we fly off a building? But no, wait, I think we could.
We filmed, so all the planning was done. I was able to show up to, I think, one rehearsal just to kind of meet some
and we had the
cast
walk
in
around
person. Yep,
to,
and we
do the location.
We did the location scouting, and we kind of made plans out there. So there was a lot more pre-production in this
lot
film
more.
than the last film.
Yeah.
Last film, I just showed up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the
like the
location
day
was
of.
already,
Right, yeah.
just one location. And there wasn't a whole lot of pre-production.
You were sending me videos of how things were
Yeah.
going to go. So it was great, though, because when we got there,
we did that practice on the library lawn
Yeah.
where you were like practicing your shots. We did a lot.
And the original idea that I had in there, because you had the whole choreography.
yeah.
The original idea actually made that final scene.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
God, that was a perfect take.
It really was.
That's like the stars aligned. But
really was.
So we were able to, though, with that, since there was so much planning involved, film everything in one. It was a 10-hour day.
10-hour day, one day. We were expecting 2 days.
Yep.
And
And then I was like, so I got booked for the next one.
I was like, everybody better be perfect. I wasn't like that, no.
But it was I mean,
People had already booked
was
their
just
their
summing up.
Airbnbs. Like, we were ready for the whole weekend.
yeah.
And nobody complained.
No one
You were getting so nervous. You were like, oh, man, we're keeping them a long time. They loved every minute of it.
We ran them ragged.
You ran them hard
I was
that
tired,
day.
so.
I was too. But they didn't complain once. Didn't complain about how long they were waiting between takes because not everyone was in every shot, and some shots took longer than others.
It helped that they all got along.
Yes,
they were just
exactly. They were
goofing off.
just goofing off, having fun.
yeah.
Some of their videos that they were doing while we were somewhere else shooting, it's hysterical. And they were so fantastic, and I could not have asked for a better cast.
Yeah.
Honestly,
One girl, for your favorite scene, had to step in because one of the dancers got sick.
Yeah. So one of our dancers got sick, was in the ER.
Yeah.
So everyone's at the studio, and we're having breakfast pizza thanks to Nick. And I'm like texting her because she's not there, and I'm like, "What's up?" And she goes, "I'm in the ER." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm really sick." And so they're actually both share names. So I replaced one Caitlin with another Caitlin.
Yeah.
And
She killed it.
She killed it. She literally had like an hour to learn it, maybe 2 hours to learn it from video because
Yeah.
I was off shooting with you. I literally showed her once or twice in the studio, and then we were off having to start. And she learned the
shot
rest of it from video.
Is one of my favorite scenes because
I think it's my favorite
She I think I can say what she does, right? Not the beforehand.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of what happens. So
Yeah.
in one of the scenes, and
We're
this
secretive.
I know, and we're in this particular scene. At the end of the scene, she goes down on this is L'Italia.
At L'Italia, yeah.
The L'Italia ramp. So there's that bar there with the like. It's almost like a gate.
Yeah.
Essentially,
You
or
were
a
like
cell.
jail cells,
It's
yeah.
like a cell, and she like comes down holding on to the chain and like puts her head down. I'm like, did
Yeah.
you plan that? And you're like,
Yeah.
Well, I planned that, but now I see the meaning.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of art, right?
Yeah.
Everyone sees things differently. So I had choreographed it that way.
Yep.
I had choreographed it as she's struggling so hard she has to physically hold on to something, because if you've been in a very dark place, there are times where you feel like you have to hold on to the earth or you're going to fall off.
Right.
And so I had choreographed it that she was grasping on for dear life. And but the way that you had angled yourself to shoot it and you had gotten low,
I
you
went
had
down
a
with
different
her.
perspective.
Yep.
And you were like, oh, it looks like she's trapped in her brain. And I'm like, that works too. And that's how art is, which
Yeah.
is what I love about art, is that both are true
Mm-hmm.
in that instance. So, and she killed it. She nailed that.
She did.
The emotion in her face and her body.
Didn't look at the
She
camera.
didn't look at the camera.
Good job, Caitlin.
We called her rock star so much you didn't know her
She looked-
name.
'cause she was wearing like these leather pants and this black like.
I
tank
called her
top
rock
and
star because
leather
she learned
jacket.
it in an hour from a video and
Yeah.
nailed it. And
She just looked like a rock star to me. So,
but we called her rock star so much you were like, rock star. What's your name?
I still don't remember everybody's name. I mean, I remember everybody's name. I just
do.
don't know who's whose.
Yeah.
But so what are? Do you want to say the locations?
Yeah. So we started at the terrace, actually, thanks to Rick Whitwood for that idea
Yeah.
because we were like, how are we going to do this without the rooftop? We had the secondary location for the final
Yep.
cut, replacing the rooftop, but how do we isolate the main character? And that was the key to the rooftops, was isolation.
I wanted to start at the. I remember this because I wanted to start at the labyrinth, the facet green space, as like
yeah.
a wink to the last
You
film.
did, yeah. It was a little too far away from the next location.
Yeah.
But I was at my guitar lesson and had been talking to Rick about it, and he was like, "Well, what about the terrace?" And I was like, "That actually could work. It is isolating. It is above, and that was the whole key, was to isolate the main character right from the first moment.
Yep.
Have her isolated. So
And we filmed
that
it
worked great.
nearly in sequence too.
Almost nearly in sequence.
Yep.
Car in the way.
Cars, jewelry lady.
Jewelry lady. I won't say it. She was a little snarky.
But we so we went from there. We went to the building with the cool glass out front and the blue door, the presidential suite, we'll call it. What is that building?
What?
Next to.
We went to the salon.
Yep. So we went to the library and then the salon. Sorry, I left out
Oh,
the salon. And
thank you.
then we went to the
And then we went to,
Prima
it's
Salon.
Ardent. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie.
Amazing location with that window.
Yep. While people were getting their haircut, we're
Yes.
in there filming.
People were and Julie's blasting people with the speaker. Like at one point, Julie had the music because I'd be behind you, and
Yeah.
Julie's hiding behind the reception desk on the floor.
Yeah.
So nobody's in the shot, and like the rest of the cast is down because you could see everyone from different angles.
Yep.
And so Julie hits play, and the whole place gets blasted because it's a full bore.
Yeah.
And the poor people in there trying to get their hair done. I'm so sorry.
No, I think
They were
that
amazing.
I think they enjoyed it.
I think they
because
enjoyed it too.
It was some elderly women, and they were
Yeah.
just kind of happy to be in there.
Yeah,
They were
they thought it was
watching. So
kinda fun.
No one
Do you remember the
complained.
dude on the bicycle that went by in the one shot? I'm kind of sad we couldn't keep that shot.
yeah.
I was like, oh, that's such a good shot.
There was a lot of Easter egg people in there.
There was a lot of people walking by the salon. But
And
yeah.
then we went down to the other
door.
building, the door.
So that's Ardent Solutions.
Yep.
But that is actually the doorway to the old Baldwin Theater. I actually put that in there on purpose.
Okay.
Because it's one of my favorite places. Because I've been researching the old Baldwin Theater for about 2 years now as well. And it was an 800-seat fantastic vaudeville theater that Wellsville used to have. It burned down in the early 1900s. And Teddy Roosevelt spoke there twice. And John Philip Sousa and his band performed there. Like massive people were at this theater. And I'm a huge proponent for a historical marker, by the way. Wink, wink. Still waiting for a historical marker for the Baldwin Theater. And anyway, I have a big project for that I've been working on for 2 years. And so I wanted to include that in my film for me as an Easter egg, because that was the entrance. The theater was not connected it was connected to the building, but also separate. There was a walkway behind the building that connected it, but you went in through that door. So that's why I kept it.
And then we ran across the street to Music Alley, which is a lot from your and I's perspective is a really cool shot.
I love that shot.
That doesn't seem like the way that it was framed. It doesn't even seem like it's in Wellsville. It's such a cool
Are you meaning
shot.
inside the music?
Inside the Music Alley,
Yeah.
Where Riley is digging through
the
albums, and then there's.
I love that shot.
Yeah.
He's just the store is so cool to begin with. And I honestly, when we did our little like focus group that we shared the film with, the not finished product.
Well, you have to have a focus group.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No.
They didn't see the final cut. Any film festival that might be watching this, they did not.
Oh no, it's not a premiere. It's literally they were basically employees.
Yeah, they were giving us feedback,
Yeah.
and one of them was like, "I wanted more in the album store."
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but you can come to Wellsville and shop in the album store.
That's right, because that was like where Riley was like digging through these things, and I'm
Her
like, she was
emotion was
aggressive,
so
and I was like,
raw
okay, we need to tone it back just a little bit. You're
because she
giving
got
too
mad
much.
at that guy in the van just
She was
outside. She was chasing the van down Main Street.
But so we did that, and then we went to an alleyway, and we'll just kind of skip over that shot.
L'Italia.
L'Italia, yep. And then we went to the library lawn, and then back to the terrace.
Back to the terrace.
And then
which we almost missed. Thank you to
whoever
the library.
Oh, what's his name? Whoever the maintenance person is.
I can't think of his name
Thank
either.
you so much for letting us in, because they
you.
closed and he let us in to do that.
We literally, we were like,
film would not have happened.
no.
we would have had to film the next day.
Yeah, we would have had to go on to another day. Yeah, but we were like, literally give us 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes. And Riley rocked those scenes.
So
She did so fast.
That was the scene where I got chills.
Yeah.
And was like, I think my initial, hold on, let me get the beep ready here.
You did swear in that take.
I did because the camera goes up. I can explain.
Oh, yeah.
So the camera goes up like this, right to her face as she's
the
looking
drone,
down. No. So this is the drone goes up.
Oh, yeah.
But this is where she sits down on the bench
down,
where we're doing the transition shot.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we should talk about.
No.
But we do this transition shot, and it goes right to her face, and she looks up, and I was just like, "Holy!" You know what I mean? Because
She literally
she had
said
that much emotion. Like I got chills.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, and we literally had less than like 10 minutes to get this done, and
that's the shot that made it into the film.
That's
that first
the shot.
one.
Yeah.
But gosh.
Yeah.
And then Stefan did this magical transition.
Yes.
To it. Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you, Stefan.
And then we went to my parents' house to do kind of the final scene.
Drove around 400 times trying to decide on a field.
But you got to drive a buggy.
I got to drive the ATV.
The cast
and then
got to see horses, and it was great.
Oh my gosh.
Donkey, peacocks.
We were literally getting out of the vehicles when you had already gotten out and gone, I don't know, to tell your folks or something. And we were just...
I was guiding people in.
Oh, yeah.
Telling them where
and
to
we
go.
were literally going, do you think there's animals here? And Nick came out of nowhere magically, and he goes, do you guys want to see the horses? And we're like, yes! And there were, they have geese?
They have geese, they have peacocks, they have chickens,
I don't know
ducks.
how we didn't get attacked by the geese, because we all go running by them. I was the only one to notice. Well, Jordan saw them because Jordan loves geese, and she was obsessed.
Oh, right.
But I was the only one that was like, y'all, we are angering the wild beasts. We're going to get chased by geese in a minute, because everyone was going, horses. And you shouldn't run and scream at horses anyway, but we are who we are. And I was like, whoa, as they were like getting up and flapping. And I was like, oh dear, we're about to have a situation.
But we ended up going to the top.
Above the horses, yeah.
So we drove my truck and
we went
buggies.
back and forth
we looked
and
different
back
locations. My stepdad actually like mowed this whole area for us.
Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't use it.
But God, it was perfect time. It was great and go because we were nervous because we went over filming during the day than what we wanted to because we again had to wait for the fog to lift.
Yes. And the car.
The car, yeah.
Yes.
But but the shots where the sun's just coming through the trees.
Beautiful. We couldn't have done it better if we tried. That is one of my favorite parts for a lot of reasons, but I love it when they move just right and the sun just shines right through the trees. This is a perfect shot. So
but it was a 10-hour day, and then quite literally the final shot of the day, everybody's exhausted.
Yeah.
They're trying to dance around on this
field. It was suddenly
field.
really cold. It had been beautiful all day, and now we were freezing.
And I was like, listen, I know you're all, I gave my my Bill Pullman
You did.
Independence Day speech. I was like, listen,
Rallying
I know you're
the
exhausted.
troops.
I know you're exhausted. I just don't feel like we have it yet. I just need you to give me everything that you can for this last shot. And there was something that was supposed to happen, which we talked about when we practiced at the library, that hadn't happened yet. And it just like happened this take.
Yeah.
And it's Riley's favorite shot.
Yeah.
But in it, there's one of the pivotal, what I think truly what makes this film, what ties this all together, because there's no talking. There's
no
just
talking.
Nick's song. There's Nick singing, and we're just seeing what, which Riley was nominated for Best New Actress.
Yeah.
And which I think
Thank you,
is
New York International Film Awards.
Yeah. Which he didn't end up winning. But the girl who won it also won for Best Actress, so it must have been something pretty gnarly.
Must have been amazing, yeah.
Yeah, but Riley didn't speak, so you're literally just watching her emotions and her facial expressions and her breathing.
Yeah.
And speaking of breathing, I recorded scratch audio for the whole thing, so I just had the camera mics, and the last scene. In other ones, they did a certain move, and for this one, I'm like, why don't you stay up?
Yeah.
Just Riley.
Yeah, because they all dropped at the end.
Right.
Well, Riley was supposed to pop up anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But they came up.
Yeah.
As well. And I was like, stay down. To everybody else. I'm like, Riley, you stay up. Everybody else stay down. And the camera again goes right. That's actually
the shot.
Part of the shot. And she's breathing so heavily because the poor thing is exhausted.
It was a lot of work.
She's exhausted.
The field choreography is a lot.
And when we came back and I actually edited this in reverse. I think I told you that.
Yeah, because because that night you were like, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, because I wanted to. So this whole film is actually edited in reverse order.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that ending,
right,
then you don't have as powerful as a film as it is right now.
Yeah.
But she's like, just like. And I'm like, I need to find a way to get this sound because we had the track blasting so that way everybody could keep on time and everything. Yeah. And I think I mixed it. We finally mixed it in a way. And we even had Riley come
here
to like do some Foley breathing, and it just
we made her run. We made her run around the church full bore.
Yeah.
And then like Nick's waiting at the computer with the microphone, and she's doing laps around the top level of the church, and she comes right into the microphone. And we're like, wait, but look at the video. You got to do it like you do in the film. Breathe in.
But it just
hard.
didn't
work.
It worked, but it didn't have the same
emotion.
Impact.
Yeah.
And then
because it's running around the church versus being in the moment of the film. Yeah.
And I remember I literally like called you and was like, I'm a bleeping idiot. Like, why didn't I just do this? And I did that and it worked.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
So I brought up.
Riley got the experience of running around the church. Yeah. So. And they got a little sneak peek of the film too. They weren't mad.
Well, no, I think it was fair that she would be the first one out of the cast to see it.
Yeah, I think so.
But because she's an actress, so she's allowed to.
Yeah, and we were bringing her in 2-hour drive to breathe in a microphone.
And it still wasn't the final version.
No, it wasn't the final version. No.
But that was our first. That was before we sent it out to our focus group. So that was like our first how are people going to react to this?
Yeah.
and we got the reaction that we needed.
We did get the reaction that we needed. I loved doing the focus group, actually. I loved getting people's reaction to it because everyone said something different, which was good. And nobody was like, you know what? It kind of sucked. We got to do this.
Yeah, no,
everyone had great stuff to say.
I remember I showed one person and they just started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy. Like before,
you told me that.
Before the like really the whole film is powerful.
The whole film is emotional. Yeah.
But that like final crescendo there.
Yeah. It's
so
huge.
They were crying before that even happened.
Yeah. What I love, one of my favorite things about this film is that it is so emotional.
Yeah.
That's Katie can't do anything fun. Everything I do.
We talked about that too.
Except for when I'm choreographing tiny humans. Of course, it's fun.
One day Kate will do something that's happy.
I don't. Probably not.
Yeah.
Because the next one is already. Whoa! Don't do it.
We're good. I almost just spilled.
I already did that. But I don't know. I just like things that are emotional. I think everyone can relate to it. I've always done it. My first choreography piece at Fredonia for my final it was choreography class, and it was my final exam, was a piece about my dad being diagnosed with cancer and the emotions that I went through as a daughter, possibly losing, because at that point it was freshly diagnosed, 2 months to 2 years. We were under the 2-year time frame. So at any moment, basically in my brain, like this could happen. And so that was an emotional piece. And I just have always gravitated to that because I think that it helps the most. I mean, I am a comedy person as well, which is what's funny about it. If you want me to do a play or a musical, like I'm going to gravitate to the comedy spot.
Yeah.
If somebody's having a bad day, I'm going to be the jokester. Like I'm, right now
I'm more of a comedy person too.
Yeah, this is why we're never serious. But you're talking about we're trying to figure out a musical for the high school, and it's hard. And so I can feel the stress of like the conversations. It's not bad, just like, oh my gosh, what can we possibly do? Like we're also putting a time limit on ourselves. And so I could feel like this building, like, oh, we got to get this done. So I just started throwing out like haha musicals because I'm the jokester. I have to make you laugh. If I feel tension, I'm going to do what I need to do to make you laugh. So it's funny that what I create is the polar opposite of what I am. But everyone relates to that. Everyone has the down like emotions.
That's one of the magical things about this film, is that no matter what you're going, it's not one certain thing.
Right.
It's very broad.
Yeah.
And it touches
take
every
from it what
single
you will.
person.
Yeah. And that's what one of my friends said in the focus group. They said,
Yep.
it was the same person that was like, I wanted more of the vinyl store. And then they were like, we said, tell us how this makes you feel. That was the question.
That was kind of the guidelines we set. We're like, we don't want to know about
We're not
the shots
looking
or
for
anything. We just want to know about the emotional.
We just want you, how did this make you feel?
Yep.
And my friend can't help himself. He's got to give constructive criticism, and which I expected when I said it. And but then he goes, to answer your question, how does this make me feel? One word, scene.
Yep.
And I was like, exactly. But anyway, I was saying it's funny that this is such an emotional film. It's a very heavy film, and there was so much fun that day, goofing off.
Yeah,
all of us.
I think
laughter was the key.
That's what was so fascinating about Riley as well, is she could literally go from like, she's a teenager, so she's like,
serious.
And then I was like, okay, action, and her face literally would just be like,
yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, calm down, child.
And they were all that way.
Yeah,
they were all that way.
I got super connected with Riley because obviously she was in the camera the most.
Yeah.
And then she reminded me so much of myself and Gwen.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, you get that fatherly like, are you okay? Like she fell one time, like, are you okay? But we were walking out after filming the one scene on the terrace, the second scene on the terrace.
Oh yeah.
And do you remember what I said to you?
Was it? Oh my God, Kate, this is going to affect a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I can. Ooh, excuse me, you heard that, but I can. Darn you, gingerbread chai.
Oh.
But I was, as we were filming it, I'm like, I can see it. And I could see your vision before, but you never know what it's going to be like. And then again, we had so many.
First terrace, and we were walking down to the salon.
Was it the first terrace?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's when it was hitting you what we were creating.
Yeah, And you get because once you hear the song and see these movements
together.
with the song, it's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
And Nick still hasn't seen this.
Nick has not seen this.
Nick Anderson, who wrote the song. And he's the one that I'm like, oh my God, what is he
know.
going to think of this?
The thing
'Cause
is,
it's winning awards now.
it is winning
Already.
It's already. It's only been
And
on
it's
the,
with his song.
yes, and it's only been on the film festival circuit a few weeks.
Yeah.
And we were nominated for 4 awards with the New York International Film Awards. We won one with an honorable mention for best ensemble,
One for best.
best dance choreography.
Yep. Which is like, got to be massive for you.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. We were up against 4 films in that category.
Yep.
And
5.
from around the world. Like that was insane to me.
Because it's international. And actually, I think we were one of the few domestic films
we
that
had a
were
couple
like,
domestic films. And it is an international film festival, but it doesn't mean that you're going to have those in your category, you know, because there's tons of categories. And I actually didn't notice the best ensemble honorable mention. So we got nominated for best new actress and best ensemble, best dance choreography, and best music video. And because some film festivals don't have dance films, so we have to put it under music video or short films sometimes, but you got to place it where it fits.
if it won best music video, that would be like a massive slap for Nick too.
Right? Hey, the Rex, we have a good music video for you. We talked about that actually when we were editing it. So I got the notification in my email that our judging status had changed, which is what the notification is. It comes through and it says your judging status has changed, and you open it up and it tells you, hey, you won.
Yeah.
And you have to click in to the website to see what you won. And it doesn't tell you in email what you won. So I'm like having to go through all the categories and I'm like, oh, not that one. Oh, not that one. Oh, not that one. And then the last one I saw was best dance choreography. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I was not expecting it. I really was not expecting it. And because I'm like looking in the category and I have not seen those films either, but I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm winning this. And I was rooting for the ensemble and for Riley. And so then it says, click here for your certificate. And so I click into it and it opens up best ensemble. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, folks, we've made an error.
Right.
We did not win best ensemble. And I was not seeing honorable mention. And so I was like digging through, like, who do I contact? Somebody made the wrong certificate. And because it says right on the certificate, you are not alone, best ensemble. And then, so I got back to the award page and I scrolled down more. The honorable mentions were an add-on from the original nomination list. There wasn't, because there's no honorable mentions in a nominee. So they had added it below and all the honorable mentions were listed. I didn't scroll down that far. And I was like, oh, no, we actually are honorable mention for best ensemble, you guys. So that was a really incredible experience. And now we're awaiting results from Cannes. We are an official selection.
Yeah.
And now a finalist, which I really didn't put out on social media. I think I put it on our story once because it scares me. It scares me a little bit to
It's
share
like the black
these
cat
things.
crossing the street. You don't want to jinx it.
I know. I just am like, I'm never one to boast either. Like I don't really, do that stuff. And so I only do it when it's time to market something,
Yep.
And so I don't want to be like, hey, guess what? Another one. You know what I mean?
So even just being nominated
Crazy.
at Cannes is
Just being selected.
huge. Yeah, selected.
So the way that Cannes, everyone works differently.
So you have to select it and then they do the nomination.
Right. Where other ones, the official selection is last.
Yeah.
So the way Cannes is doing it is official selection, then semifinalists, then finalists, then nominees, then the award winners. Yep. So we are currently finalists, and tomorrow comes out the nominations.
And tomorrow, the
trailer
drops.
out.
So by the time people are going to be listening to this, it was actually yesterday that the trailer dropped.
Yes.
But I think we ran out of time to kind of show some behind the scenes stuff. But I would like to show. Let's try to show the trailer.
Yeah, I mean, it's attached to me, so we should be able to.
Yeah.
And it's my film, so you should be able. It'd be no different than like Cannes showing it.
Yeah.
So.
You want to try it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Real quick before we show the trailer, I just want to let's do this last, just in case it does get blocked off.
Oh, yes.
I just want to appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you having me involved in this project. It's become a very special place inside me as well. And I know that people are going to be asking when they can see it, and it has to wait until the festival because there's a massive festival that fingers crossed, and if it does, it won't be until probably May or June before we.
Right. So we're still awaiting results from multiple festivals, and I still might enter it in a few more. There's ones that are mental health based film festivals that I'm waiting to open up. They're not allowing entries at this point, and so they'll be opening up in the next couple months, and we'll submit there too. Yep. But some film festivals let you premiere it before they announce results, and others do not. You cannot show this film, or you're disqualified. And we are in one of those ones that require that because it's big. It's a big one. And I will be on the floor if we get selected. But please, God, please.
Do you think we should give people a hint? We can just say the location of it. How about that?
Well, you can't say the exact location of it because then it gives it away.
No, I know, but you can say kind of like, is it in this state?
It is in this state.
There we go.
It is a New York-based film festival in
In New York State.
In this land, yes. Yeah. Somewhere in this state, which has so many. There's so many film festivals. But no, there's one major one. Mm-hmm. And if you're a film festival buff, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Top 3.
Yeah. And because Katie has big dreams. And
if we cross off Cannes, there's
only 2 more that could possibly be in New York. So let's cross off Sundance right now. It's not Sundance because that's not New York. But
we're giving too much.
But that one's not New York, so we already gave that one away. But that one requires, and so that one doesn't announce until April. Yep. So if we're not selected, we can show it like May, June. If we are, then we can't show it till like August because they want the premiere.
And we are going to plan like a true Hollywood style.
Oh yeah, we're going big.
Yep,
going big.
So, if anybody is involved with the movie theater in Wellsville, please let us show.
Open it just enough.
Yep.
For us to be able to show this because it's a Wellsville. It is truly a Wellsville film.
110%.
We have filmed on the majority of our film. 98% of this film is on Main Street.
My parents' house is in Wellsville.
Yeah, and we were inside businesses, outside businesses. Yep. Businesses didn't even know that their business was in this film. It is like full-on shots. It's like a marketing video for Wellsville. Yep. And we want to have the premiere in Wellsville, and I want to have it at the movie theater because I mean, come on.
Yep.
It's doing really well, and if it continues to do, Cannes alone, I mean, come on. And so if it's going to premiere in Cannes, France, can we please premiere it in the Wellsville movie theater? Full red carpet and all. Like, we're going big, guys.
Limo.
But
thank you for coming on. Please go follow the Facebook page You Are Not Alone. Yes. It is the film's Facebook page. That's where the trailer has premiered yesterday. But we're going to try to play it here just for those of you so you can see it.
And all award updates will be on.
Yeah.
We also have the Instagram page.
You Are Not Alone.
The Instagram page is youarenot.alone.film.
Okay.
Because that's a very common phrase for mental health. We actually took it out of the song though. But so follow either page, follow both pages, because it does help market the film. But all of our updates for film festivals and premiere information will be on the socials. So follow the social page.
But thank you for coming on. And please see this film.
Thank you for
when
always
it does
doing my crazy thoughts. You already know the next one.
I enjoy it. I don't know the next one. You haven't explained it to me yet.
Well, I didn't give you full details, but I announced it at the cast party.
Yeah.
Because they were like, what's next? What's next, Miss Kate?
Oh, yeah. That one's gonna be tough for me to do, too.
Because Katie doesn't do fun things. Yeah. I do crazy things. I do heart-wrenching things. But no, thank you very much. I can't physically do this without you. Yeah. But you are also my partner in crime, like we talked about at the cast party. Like, I wouldn't do it with anyone else. So
I better hope not.
We're
if Spielberg or Cameron call.
I said that in something too. I was like, sorry, Steven, you wanted full rights to this. I need Nick.
Yeah, right. Speaking of Nick, thank you so much for Nick Anderson. Thank you so much for letting us use your song.
Your amazing song.
You can hear the song. It is out now. It's called Normal.
Normal, the acoustic version. It is got a love story bass to the song, but the lyrics are what got me. The lyric of what does it take to be normal? Why can't I be normal? And those are all things that anyone that has struggled has thought at one point or another. Why am I not normal?
Perfect choice for songs.
Perfect choice for a
video.
song. Which is why I fought hard for this song. And Nick fought hard. Nick fought really hard for us to have this project. And I am forever grateful for the amount of fight he put up for us to have this song. So
Also, Nick, when you're home, if you want to come on the podcast.
yes. And
We're both named Nick. We have amazing names. All right.
Nick squared.
Yeah. But thank you, Kate. Just in case this does get muted, I can cut off here, but thank you for coming on. And
thank you.
please follow the socials for the You Are Not Alone film. All right, here we go. It's going to take me a second.
Oh, I still think you should do a behind the scenes shot. Just throw one in there.
All right, let's see here. Technology. All right, you want to do a behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Let's find one.
I don't know what you have.
I have everything.
You have everything. You probably have things I don't even know.
I do. Ooh, don't want to show any of those.
Ooh, don't look at the
Why
screen.
don't we do, since we talked about it so much, can we do the shot on the terrace?
Yeah.
You want to do that? So a little shot?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Are you talking about the one where you swore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because I
It's not
actually don't
giving
have
anything
too much.
away.
I don't have too much behind the scenes stuff on here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can show. There's just the two clips that I want shown. We got to keep something secret.
Something secret.
You got to come see the film for the whole thing.
Where is that shot? Oh, we filmed it before. That's right.
And I will say we never really, we were always on the same page about things, but there was one thing that we weren't on the same page for about 30 seconds for, because you did not want to include a shot. And I never wanted, I'm usually like, Nick, you know more than I do, whatever you want to do, as long as the dance looks good, and it's in the right order, we're fine. But I was like, no, we have to have this shot. What are you doing?
Needs to be in it.
And then you put it in, and then you took it out. And I was like, Nick, I need that shot in the film.
This was me being anal about a specific
The look of it, yeah.
thing.
But I think it adds to it. I don't think anyone's really even going to notice. I think they're going to be so into the emotion, they're not going to notice it. But
All right, let's play this one here.
Like everybody else does. How come it's so hard for me? How come it's so hard for me? Why don't I get to be me?
Look at this shot. I'll put that actual clip.
I was
in,
going to
so
say,
you'll
I
be able
can't
to
hear it at all.
I'll
Yeah.
put that actual clip. It's actually good. And I want the volume down.
But I was just thinking, I'm like, I don't know why we were fussing over showing that one, because that's in the trailer.
I know it is. It is in the trailer. All right, so here it is, the trailer, and thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much.
I just wanna see the world like everybody else does. I just wanna fall in love like everybody else does. How come it's so hard for me? How come it's so hard for me? What does it take to be normal? I just wanna see the world like everybody else does. I just wanna fall in love like everybody else does. How come it's so hard for me? How come it's so hard for me? Why don't I get to be normal?